So I'm
15 seconds.
okay.
Madam Chair, the
10
clock in here
seconds.
says 3:30.
Okay, thank you. I'll call this regular meeting of the Kissimmee Utility Authority to order and ask Ethel if she'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Flag of the United
States
States of America
and
and
to the republic for which
one
it
nation
stands,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty and
and
justice for all.
For all. Thank you. And Grant and Jeff, you have some logistical things you need to tell us?
Yes, you want me to go first, Jeff?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Chair. Governor DeSantis earlier during this COVID-19 crisis issued Executive Order 20-69, which waived the requirement for local government agencies that their governing boards have a physical quorum present for their meetings. He extended the effectiveness of that executive order, and the order is still in effect till October 1st, 2020. We have made arrangements so that the general public can view and participate in this meeting. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Grant. For participants in today's meeting, again, using mute helps everybody to have a nice clean channel so that we can hear clearly. The chair has asked that we use the raise hand feature built into Zoom to indicate that you wish to add something to the conversation. This will help us keep from getting too many people talking at one time. And for members of the public who are watching us live from YouTube or on KUA.com, there is a contact form there on the website where you can get in touch with us and let us know if there's any information for the board that you want presented in lieu of attending in person because of the current COVID crisis. We have none for today's meeting, and seeing that, we'll move on from that. If you are presenting remotely, I will advance your slides for you when you indicate, and we will bring them up for you as well. And if you experience any audio or visual difficulty, the fastest way to fix it is just to disconnect and reconnect. Usually that fixes 99% of the problems. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. And we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Madam Chair, under old business, I1, there's an item regarding approval of a third amendment to Board Policy Directive D11-03 for waiver of line extension fees for economic development purposes, which is administered by the City of Kissimmee. Staff would like to have this item pulled from the agenda to allow additional time to address some concerns that have been raised with city staff. There's approximately $167,000 remaining in that line extension waiver program. So there's not an immediate need to take action on this policy while staff works through these issues with the city.
okay. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as modified?
I move that we approve it.
Manny, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, we'll move on to awards and presentations.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have several awards and presentations this afternoon, beginning with a degree recognition for Ms. Rosiana Rodriguez, who is an administrative assistant 2 in our operations department over at Cane Island. She just received her bachelor's of applied science in business and organizational leadership from Valencia College. Roxana's been with KUA for 8 years and 9 months, and we're very, very proud of what she's accomplished here on the job and personally. So congratulations, Roxana. Next, we've got Maritza Nunez, who we're recognizing for 5 years of service to KUA. She is a receptionist in our customer service department. Congratulations, Maritza. Next, Tracy Corzo. She's a customer service representative 2 within our customer service department, and we're recognizing Tracy for 10 years of service to KUA. Thank you, Tracy. Next, we've got Patty Lamarche, who I believe is in the boardroom. Patty, if you're there, would you please stand? Patty is a customer service supervisor within our customer service department, and we're recognizing Patty for 10 years of service to KUA. Next, we've got Eric Headley, who is a field service specialist within our customer service department. We're recognizing Eric for 10 years of service to KUA. Thank you, Eric. Next, we've got Shannon Baer, who is a systems analyst within our information technology department. We're recognizing Shannon for 10 years of service to KUA. Thank you, Shannon. Next, we've got Jonathan Drain. I believe Jonathan is in the boardroom as well. Jonathan, if you're there, please stand. Jonathan is a meter reader within our customer service department, and we're recognizing Jonathan for 15 years of service to KUA.
Congratulations.
Next, we've got Nancy Wakefield, who is a financial analyst 3 within our finance and administration department. We're recognizing Nancy for 20 years of service to KUA. Thank you, Nancy. And then finally, we've got our employee of the month for September 2020. We've got Yamari Medina. She is an administrative assistant 2 within our customer service department. Yamari was selected by the customer service leadership team as a customer service employee of the quarter recently. Yamari is being recognized for her teamwork, high quality of work, and commitment to helping. Yamari is eager to learn and takes on new responsibilities on a regular basis as our business needs rapidly change. Recent examples include processing the return payment notices, processing net metering applications, as well as CIS testing. She helps in every area of customer service and handles a variety of tasks accurately and timely. We were recently shorthanded for an extended period of time, and Yamari rose to the challenge. She successfully handled a very large volume of work, demonstrating a strong work ethic and commitment to our team. Thanks to her, we did not miss a beat. Yamari is a true team player, and we're very proud to have her a part of both KUA and the customer service team. Yamari's been with us for 12 years. Thank you, Yamari.
Let's give everybody a big hand. All right, we'll move on to hear the audience, but we have no request to be heard, correct?
Correct.
And now we'll move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion regarding the consent agenda?
Moved.
Okay, and I saw Manny's hand, so I assume he will second it. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Hearing none, we'll move on to public hearing, and we have none, and informational presentations, and we have none. Old business, we have I2.
Yes, Madam Chair. As many of you on the board are aware, KUA participates in collaborative purchasing agreements from time to time with other Florida municipalities and utilities in an effort to obtain better pricing for materials, equipment, and services. One of those is through participation in the Florida Utilities Alliance, where we use a collaborative agreement to purchase the wires and cables that are used throughout the electric system. The current contract is set to expire at the end of the month, and the Alliance has negotiated an extension with the current vendor, and Kevin Crawford's going to tell us a little bit more about that extension.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Brian. We'd like to share with you this afternoon a recommendation from staff to renew the participation in this Florida 7 Alliance contract. As the general manager pointed out, that wire and cable within our industry is fairly similar and standard across most utility uses, with a few differences. Due to these similarities, an opportunity exists for synergy in the efficiencies in the buying and procurement processes. And so in 2009, recognizing that fact, KUA joined the Florida 7 Alliance, which is a wire and cable purchasing group that's made up of 7 Florida municipal utilities in order to increase their buying power. And you can see there Lakeland, JEA, OUC, GRU, City of Tallahassee, Beaches Energy, and then of course KUA, all participants in this Florida 7 Alliance, with which we use our increased purchasing power to obtain better prices on this wire and cable that's fairly similar. So a bulk purchasing power contract was bid and awarded in 2014 to Electric Supply for this purchase, for these purchases. This contract has been amended about 4 times. It expires on September 30th, 2020 and is ready to be rebid. However, due to travel restrictions with vendors and then some certainty related to supply chain issues related to COVID-19, the contract was amended to extend through March 31st to 2021. So Amendment 4 was a 6-month extension to September 30th of this year. We're asking for one final extension for another 6 months to the end of March of next year. And then in order to make sure that the RFP gets on the street and we get back responses that can vet those properly and have time to do that through the Alliance. So KUA staff is seeking board approval to participate in this extended contract. And you can see our recommendation is authorization to continue to participate in the agreement with Electric Supply of Tampa, doing business as Electric Supply through the Florida 7 Alliance to provide wires and cables during the transitional period through March 30th of 2021. And I stand for any questions.
Not a question, just a comment. It's a great idea. It's bulk buying. And it surprises me that we only have 7 utilities involved in this. I mean, the more the merrier. Probably even get the price. We probably even get the prices lower if we had more utilities involved.
Yes, that's a great observation. And I think that for different types of equipment, there are different alliances and purchasing groups. I know there was one out of Jacksonville called Co-Electric that we were a party to for a while. And so there are several different of these buying groups depending on the type of equipment. So this is another one that for the wire and cable that we use. But that's a good observation. And it's good, I think, that municipal utilities to be able to, to work together. So thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation by staff.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have no new business, so we'll move on to staff reports.
Yes, Madam Chair. Kevin, don't go too far. I think you're up next again with our third quarter financial report for fiscal year 2020.
Thank you, General Manager and Madam Chair. That is correct. I would like to present to you the operating results for the period ended June 30th or third quarter of 2020. And as you can see there, the first slide here, we are slightly ahead of our budgeted sales for this fiscal year in 2020, a little behind where we were last year. But in terms of total megawatt hour sales, we are ahead of budget, and we do expect to be ahead of budget through the end of the fiscal year, but obviously that remains to be seen. But we did have a strong July. I'm only reporting through June, but we did have a strong July and a strong August so far. And we will see how September materializes, but very positive in terms of sales. As you can imagine, very warm outside. So that contributes to our sales strongly. I'd like to report that we have maintained excellent financial strength by meeting the board's fiscal policies that have been set. And you see all of those listed there. You also see those during the budget process. And in addition to meeting those objectives, we have also achieved a positive net income. And so we have been able to do as the board has directed. Also, we've improved customer experience by being in the bottom 1/3 of 1,000 kWh residential rate across the state of Florida for all utilities. We're at 18.9 out of bottom 1/3, so we achieved that goal. We always share with you the use of rate stabilization. As you remember, we utilized $4 million, $2 million in May, $2 million in June to help our customers during the COVID crisis. We still have July and August that we used $2 million, so that's why you only see the $4 million year to date. but we did draw down rate stabilization to assist customers to maintain the bottom 1/3. And we did actually manage a deposit into rate stabilization, notwithstanding that drawdown. So we had a net $1.2 million reduction to rate stabilization. So the $4 million drawdown, the $2.8 million addition nets to a $1.2 million draw. We'd expect it to be at about a $5 million deposit at this point in the year. But obviously, utilizing rate stabilization to help our customers is more important than just meeting the budget. And so that's where we are. And we will see how we finish out at the end of the year with total rate stabilization balance. But that's where we currently sit with utilization there up to this point through June 30. We to metered sales revenue, you can see there that we had budgeted to be at 163 million. We are at 167 for a $3.7 million variance and 2.2% increase over where we thought we'd be. We continue to collect on bad debt on behalf of all of our customers at KUA to $111,000 positive variance. Our cost of power, we expected to be at 35.9 million. We've actually expended 44.3 through the KOPA mechanism, which has returned an additional 8.4 million to our customers through that, which you'll see on the next page means the reason that's a bigger number is the fuel expenses have been lower than we expected them to be for this year. And so therefore the true-up mechanism through KOPA served its purpose and returned that money back to our customers as it's supposed to do. Again, the 4.9 or 5 million that we expected to have as a deposit and rate stabilization, we actually had a net $1.2 million draw so far this year. So we're behind in that part of about 6.2 million. And I said earlier, as I shared with you, we'll see how we end up for the rest of the fiscal year. That may end up turning back into being on budget, but that remains to be seen as sales continue to be strong for this fiscal year. Total operating revenue, 136 million is where we thought we would be. We're actually at 137. And again, that's related to the increased sales and the use of rate stabilization. The $1.3 million is where we're at in terms of a positive variance overall. And so you can see the reason that the fuel adjustment mechanism, and here's the evidence of how that works properly, 49 million is what we thought we would expend on demand charges. Actually, 48.8 is what we expended, so a variance of 244,000. But here on energy charges, you can see 29.7 is where we expected to be expended for energy charges. We're actually 22.9 for that variance of 6.7, which comes fairly close to the number you saw of the variance in the KOPA mechanism. And because, again, fuel expenses are down, we return that through the KOPA mechanism to our customers. So once total fuel and purchase power, we had expected to be at $84 million. We've actually at 77 million for a positive variance of $7.2 million. And that gives operating fuel and purchase power 51.5 is where we expected to be. We're at 60 million. Once you take total operating revenue minus fuel and purchase power, and that puts us at a positive variance of 8.6 million. Then moving into the departmental budgets, you can see no variances to report of any material size. All departments are either under budget to a acceptable degree, but no overages to report through the end of this fiscal year, or excuse me, this quarter. We'd expected to have net operating revenue of about 23 million. And again, we're at 34 because of the reduced fuel cost and the use of rate stabilization, and for a positive variance of about $11.6 million. Then moving into the other operating expenses, again, nothing of material to note here. All of these expenses are coming in at or just over budget where we expected them to be: interest revenue, interest expenses, and things of that nature. So for a total change in net position, we budgeted to be at 4.4 million, and we actually are at 16.2 for a variance of 11.7 million in terms of total variance for net position or net income. Then moving into the investment portfolio, just to give you an overview, not a lot has changed here. We still have about $122 million in our portfolio. And again, the biggest part of that is our reserves, and also for what we intend to pay down for CP. The biggest majority of that continues to be invested at the State Board of Administration, and also in government securities and state and local government paper. And you can kind of see that on this next slide. Again, as COVID progresses and as the stock market and other financial instruments and bonds in the corporate world tend to fluctuate, you see that continued flight to quality. And because we're heavily invested in government securities, a lot of people are moving into that area as well. And as more people invest in government securities, which we always invest in those to a large degree because of their high quality nature, Other investors are desiring the same benefits, and that drives yields down. And so that drives your effective interest or effective return down. And so hopefully that will change in the short term. But for now, we'd rather take a little bit less on yields and be invested in safe investments for liquidity and preservation of capital. And that's all I have, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have at this time.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll
I have
move
a
on to
question.
the,
I have a question.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear that we have, we're economically saved and sound. KUA is, and moving forward, same as the city of Kissimmee. I was not here, unfortunately, because of other business meetings that I had when we did the budget. And my question is, why did this board, if KUA, it's 100% economically sound and not affected by COVID-19 at all, why did this board only give their KUA employee a 1.5% increase? I did not hear any numbers that showed to me that any effect has come to this power company, and why did our employees did not get the benefit that they deserve? And so I would like to hear staff explain that to me.
So,
Brian?
Kevin, let me take it. Mr. Mayor, when we were preparing the budget for FY21, at that time, we did not know, or we were uncertain as to what the true impacts to KUA would be at that time. And so we took a very conservative approach with our recommendations to the board. And that's, that's ultimately how we got to the 1.5% market level adjustment that's contingent upon KUA meeting its revenue projections for the current fiscal year.
So if I may answer,
Who's that?
now you do have the big picture. And I think that the right thing to do for this board is to amend that and give the employees the rest of the 1.5% that they deserve so much for the great work that they've done for KUA and the ratepayers that we represent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Yes, Jeannie.
I'd like to hear some opinions on this. And Brian, is there a reason why we would not address this?
While we are comfortable that we're going to meet the current year projections for FY20, there is still, and Kevin, I want you to chime in at any point, there is still some uncertainty as to what the long-term ramifications will be going into FY21. While we've seen some commercial businesses reopen, and obviously schools reopen, and we're seeing some of those commercial classes turn around, we still are behind projections and certain commercial classes. General services, I think we're behind in general services demand, aren't we, Kevin?
Yes, so the 4A classes, so our residential has obviously been on the uptick of utilization per customer. General service, non-demand and general service demand have increased. Still, a large commercial is a little bit behind. And we do see those numbers strengthening. The challenge that we were concerned with too, as Brian, you'll remember this too, was the collectability of some of the revenue. And we did increase our bad debt expense for the coming fiscal year. And due to the nature of potentially, the hardship economically that some of our customers might have in terms of paying, We were trying to err on the side of conservancy and go, as you said earlier, Brian, to a conservative budget recommendation in terms of the recommended pay adjustment for staff. And so that was some of our reasoning that went into that process. And although the revenues remain strong, we were somewhat concerned about the collectability of some of those revenues, even as we continue to see our customers work with Susan's folks on payment plans and payment arrangements, things of that nature.
And I think,
And if I can make a comment too, having gone to the APPA workshops and seeing the situation totally across the country, we have anticipated and have lots of ways to shield this blow. But if it goes on and on and on, you're going to run out of ways to shield it. And I would be real uncomfortable with obligating money that we don't know if it's going to come or not come in. Jeannie, you had a comment too?
Well, this is the next year's budget, is it not?
this is the budget that goes into effect October 1.
That's what I thought. So, but don't we go through this every year not knowing what's going to happen?
Not like this year.
Not to this extent. You know, COVID has added a level of complexity. One option that this board has, if I may, is, we have the ability to continue with the budget as is and address any concerns with the market level adjustment in FY22's budget. So October of 2021, when we prepare that, we'll have a better feel for where we are in the pandemic. And if it's the desire of the board, you can address a larger market level adjustment for staff at that time.
Okay, so we've already passed this, and October 1st, it's going into effect.
Provided we meet our revenue projections for the current fiscal year. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'd still like to give them more. I agree with the mayor that they work hard. They work just as hard as they ever have.
Yeah.
And I hate to see them not getting a reward, as much reward as we'd like to give them. So
When we
Madam
can't afford it, we can't
Chair,
afford
if I
it.
may. Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. Nowhere in this report did I hear anything negative about the future of KUA. Okay, nowhere in this report did I hear that. Okay, we always assume that we're going to continue to move forward, but usually our reports, as we get them by staff, are pretty close to it. City of Kissimmee gave 3% to their employees. Okay, and we were able to move on with our budget, even having a thought that something could happen or could not happen. And so personally, I was waiting to hear this report, and this is why I'm here today. Believe it or not, as I'm listening to you, I have in my other computer another meeting that I'm on, but I did not hear. And this is how important it is to me as the mayor of the city. I did not hear anything that can give any type of thought that we are in any economic hurt. And so this board has the authority to amend and add that extra 1.5% to this budget. Budget gets amended all the time, and we know that. And this board has a responsibility to these employees that have made KUA who they are and have worked in the front line through this COVID-19 day in and day out, continuing the services that we provide so well. And so I think that they deserve that. And I think this board deserves to do better to the employees that they represent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think one thing that we've got that does tell us that we are in a distressed situation is the number of disconnects we have to do each month and the number of payment arrangements. Yes, Jeannie.
Well, I suggest that we keep it the way it is and monitor and see if it's going to be as bad as we think it is. And if we can adjust salaries at any given time, we can bring it up and adjust it at a later date once we've seen the effect of the COVID over a period of time. But I think that might be the best way of doing it, is to just kind of wait and see what's going to happen. And if we don't see a downtick, we can certainly address this later.
Madam Chair, you have a question on the floor from Director Hemphill.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, from a financial standpoint, one of the other things that occurred at about the same time as when we were working on the budget was the taking of the money for COPA to keep it down. So we were trying to also help out our ratepayers, and we also wanted to do something for the employees. So it was not just one thing, it was multiple financial issues.
Madam Chair, point of procedure. Kevin and I just had a colloquy over here. The budget, we are required to provide the budget to the city, and we've already passed the 45-day deadline. So if any changes want to be made, we believe those have to go into effect after the fiscal year starts. You can amend the budget, but the budget
Right.
has to go into effect.
Well, that's why I wanted to wait a while.
And you could always make anything retroactive. You could make a one-time payment bonus type thing. I mean, there's lots of options in the future when you do know more what's happening.
Because I don't think we know what's going on. I mean, I don't. And I'm certainly not comfortable with being confident about anything right now. So I hate to
Well-
see any changes made until we're a little bit further down the road.
Might I recommend that y'all have staff bring something back to the board after the first quarter of FY21?
Good idea.
Okay.
A couple of,
Yeah,
Ethel
ma'am.
has something. Ethel has something. She's had her hand up before me.
Okay. I can't see her, so
Can't
Yeah.
see her.
Go ahead, Ethel.
I can understand Jose's views in many ways, but I also have to think about KUA and the community. And I was one of the first people against what we did in the beginning, because I believe that we should have waited until next year when things were back to normal. We have taken money out of COPA to put up with some of our expenses, and it shows right there that we have $5 million out of it. We also show that we have debt in our financials that we have not paid. And there is, our employees are working. They have not suffered any lack of employment or any lack of payment or income. And we're still providing them an increase. So we are taking care of them. We are taking care of them in the right way, being conscious and being conservative and not forgetting about them. And we still have to worry about the community that is being disconnected. Their services are being disconnected because of lack of payment, and they're also unemployed. And there is a whole bunch of things that come together. KUA is part of the community, and we cannot isolate ourselves and show the image to the community that we are fine here, we are making lots of money on them, and that we are increasing the salary of our employees, and we don't care about what else is going on. I think we need to have some conscience of what's going on in the city entirely, in the community entirely. And what we did, I think, is a good decision, and we just have to take it as is. And then if we have to change because later we become this great company that made a lot of money during this situation, then we change it next year.
Do we need a motion to do
No.
this, or just
No,
just
no,
wait?
Madam
Okay,
Chair.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay,
I have my hand raised.
okay. I can't see you either, so. Well,
Yeah,
your camera's
oh.
not on, so I really can't see you.
Yeah, so, well, I'm in two different meetings at the same time. So all I have to say, what board member Ethel said is our KUA employees are our communities. And they are suffering together with the communities. Let's not remember that. Our KUA employees are not strangers to the community. They are our community. And KUA is where it is because of our KUA employees and because of the sacrifice that they put to make KUA what it is. Thank you very much.
Okay. Seeing no other hands raised, if I could see them, but we'll move on to IT report.
Yes, Madam Chair, we've got Jeff Gray, Vice President of IT, who is going to provide us his semi-annual report, mainly focused on some customer enhancements that the department has been engaged in over the last quarter.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, board. We get to do this about twice a year, and I'm always trying to jam as many interesting little facts as I can into what we've been up to in IT. So this is going to be as quick as I can get through it, but at the same time, things that every board member should know about what KUA is doing for our customers. Starting off with one of the top items, which of course is conducting business online, never more valuable than during COVID, when everybody needed to do things remotely, just as we're still doing now. And looking at our website, it's very interesting how much this has changed. This is not just a COVID-related number. This is over the last 2.5 to 3 years. We have had 105% growth in our web visits. We started off, we have metrics going back farther, but I just picked the beginning of 2018 to give a way of comparison. But you can see those numbers, how they rocketed up, especially this year. I think we had 55% just this year alone, but 105% growth in customers who come to see us online. A great success story for us because we have a website that now loads quickly. We've done a lot of security enhancements to that as well to make it secure for our customers, and even more is coming, as you'll see. But we are definitely automating ahead of the curve and having everything ready when the customers are ready to use that kind of technology. So that's a great success for us because it's mobile friendly, and again, that's 24 hours a day. They don't have to wait until KUA is open the next day to conduct a lot of their business now. Talking about doing things online, online billing is a really great win and success for both the customer and us. When you look at what we gain from online billing in terms of the paperless aspect, of course, it's ecologically friendly, but we're also able to offer customers who use paperless billing or pay online a choice of payment instruments that is very broad, and we have new ones coming. Very soon, you're going to see PayPal and Venmo as some of the choices that are available to customers. This will be actually integrated into the new portal that we've had to launch this year. We're real close, not quite there, but we're very close on getting the payment integration completed. And at that time, the customers will have access to all of these new things. Why is PayPal and Venmo so important? For a lot of folks who are unbanked, these are some of the same folks who may walk into our lobby to pay in cash. They also have PayPal accounts and may use Venmo or other types of services. Even PayPal credit would be available to them. So they can do things through other payment instruments besides the standard credit cards or checking. The great thing, I know sometimes people are upset that they have to pay a fee to make an electronic payment. That's really the credit card company's requirement, not ours, but we have to recoup it somehow. So one of the ways around that is just to sign up for bank drafting. Bank drafting has no fee at all. We cover that cost because it is quite small. So that is an option to customers as well. And of course, not just the payment of the bills, but the enhanced services, things that we can integrate into that transaction so that at the same place you go to pay your bill is also where you could maybe request an extension. This has been a very popular item among our customers. About 30% of those who apply get approved electronically. They don't have to explain to us why they need more time. They can just get a few more days up to the maximum allowed. And in many ways, it preserves their dignity, not having to go into why they need more time. We think that's been a great win. In some cases, the folks don't qualify for that extension, and we do need to have that conversation with them. But 30 out of 100 typically get their extension on demand if they choose to use it. And of course, they can view and download their bill, and they'll see this in the portal as well. Now, that downloaded bill, it might seem simple, but an electric bill has become quite the document of proof in our recent years. Everything from immigration, driver's licenses, school participation. There's a range of things that require some proof of residency. And in many cases, it is the electric bill that is the choice for the customer to use as that proof. They can now use their phone and have access to all of their bills and present them right there, right off their phone, or print them if they need to. In terms of our e-bill adoption rate, we're doing fantastic. This is there was a national study done by eSource back in 2018, and at that time they said the national average for people, for utilities specifically, that had any kind of electronic billing, they were at around 25%. I added up to 32% just to pad those next 2 years to get us to 2020. But in my discussions with other Florida utilities that we meet at a lot of conferences and working groups, most of them are between 10 and 20 of our municipal neighbors. But we have 54% at KUA, and we're continuing to grow that almost daily. It continues to grow. And that is only possible with great payment partners like Paymentus, our payment vendor, and of course, an application that does more than just pays the bill. It gives you all those integrated features that I was talking about. So let's talk about some of the personalized solutions for our customers. You know, we know we're growing, and we are growing fast. We are approaching an 85,000 customer mark. And with that growth, considering how fast that has occurred, it would be easy for us to lose sight of our hometown advantage and how we already offer that personalized touch to our customers because we're their neighbors. Well, what about that personalized touch in terms of technology and the solutions that we provide? Let's start off with one of the most common things that we see on Facebook. We see people talking about it on Nextdoor. Why is my bill higher this month? If you look at days gone by, because it's no longer true today because of what we've done, there was a lot of shock and awe when people got their bill. They'd open up that envelope and they'd just take a deep breath and prepare themselves for the unknown, not knowing what their bill was going to be. They had no connection in their minds, usually of the weather in the last month and what days were hotter than others, how often their air conditioner was coming on and off. And you can see how these things can quickly add up. And if you discussed it with your neighbors, you know, that you don't have the same situation they do. Your house could be a different size, more occupants, less occupants, newer or older appliances, so many variables. But what if you could actually see your consumption every 15 minutes and match that with the weather and have other tools as well to budget and prepare for that bill so that it's not a shock, but it's actually just what you expect to see because you've been able to monitor it. And that is where technology has stepped in this year for our customers, and with AMI and the portal, where we're adding more and more features, launching even this month some new ones, which I'll talk about in a moment. But that ability to see what you see behind you there is that daily consumption and then what the average weather temperature was. And you can see how the usage goes up as the temperature goes up and it comes back down when it cools off at night. So these things immediately help a customer anticipate that. But it's more than just seeing your usage and saying, okay, that was interesting. It's the ability to put things in there like markers and different things to alert you, like a text message that says, according to the budget you've set for yourself, you have gone over or you are under what you planned on for this particular day or this particular increment. A great feature. So now, again, we finally have given somebody a gas gauge of sorts to see how their consumption is happening almost in real time versus at the end of the month just getting a bill and you have no idea what it's going to be. All because technology is changing that dialogue for billing. Let's look at self-service, which is the next big step for us. This will be in the portal, and it'll be launching. I was hoping we were going to get a little ahead and launch it today and give you a big surprise, but it'll be in the next few weeks ahead of our budgeted time. But self-service is so common, why can't the utilities also offer the same thing? If we go to Lowe's to do a do-it-yourself project, we check out ourselves. If you go to Walmart, the same. Airline ticketing kiosks, those have been around for years. Now you don't even go to the kiosk, you do it all on your phone. If you're at a restaurant now, they don't even come to take the payment. They just give you a little gadget to go and punch everything in, and you do it that way. So this is commonplace. What about the utilities? Well, launching, like I said, in this month, we're going to have our initiate, start, and stop transfer of services. What does this do for us? This right now, you can go to KUA.com and you can fill out a form and say, I want electric service, and then we'll work on that form after we get it through email And it's about 45 fields of information that could have been, there could be a typo in there. We have to copy and move that all into our current CIS system. What we're going to do is automate that to where when the customer fills this out, not only does it verify that the customer is in our service territory, because sometimes they're not sure who their electric company is, so they don't fill it out if they don't actually have the right address, but it also verifies a lot of that data. And instead of taking someone's name over the phone or possibly mistyping something on the form, it's all going right in electronically into our CIS system, so we don't duplicate that data entry. It's a lot better for the customer, and it's a lot faster for us to then do our internal processes, which take place after that fact, to go ahead and provision those services. Customers will also be able to update their mailing address, phone number, and they can even schedule commercial visits to sites when they're doing construction type work. All of this self-service type features are going to be growing, and we're going to see them again just in the next few weeks. So where is all this going? All this technology, all these gadgets? I could probably use, once all the COVID stuff is over, a trip to a consumer electronics show to go see what's coming out of Japan, because typically that does lead what the US follows in terms of the latest tech gadgets and so forth. But if you've got a Ring, if you've got a Nest, or if you've got an Alexa in your home, you're already experiencing what IoT, this Internet of Things, is doing. It's not just gadgets that do something cool, they talk to each other as well. And I think what we're going to see in our next step, and I don't want to give a date for this because I'm not quite sure when it'll be ready, is where you can basically talk to your Alexa and pay your bill by voice. You don't have to call, you don't have to go online, you don't even have to take out your phone. You can just inquire about your consumption, when your bill is due, and so forth, and it'll be automatically paid on your voice alone.
So Alexa can pay your bill?
Soon.
Wow.
Let us get that. We got a few more things to build that are, it's like a domino, but we have to kind of get a few things in place. But it's already being tested by our vendors, so we're not far off. But I think it's going to be more than this. In terms of where is it going, this is almost like what we're expecting today. What will probably happen in the future is when you come in the house, your home may actually speak to you and give you all the updates from you're out of milk to, your bill is also due for electric, or you used a lot of electricity yesterday. You may want to adjust the temperature to meet your budgeting expectations and so forth. But all of these things are merging, and they're also using a lot of data in the background to make themselves smarter. So that's where I think it's going. But as you know, with technology, we could have some really amazing gadget just not announced quite yet. But with all these things, this focus on the customer, this constant innovation and so forth, and moving forward, it is nice to get validation that not only are we on the right track in terms of our own customer evaluations and surveys, but also at the national level. Our vendor, Payment, has put us in for this award. We did not submit ourselves. They put us in for this award from Chartwell. Their conference it's going to be teleconference now because of COVID, and it was going to be in Orlando. But in October, they're going to be announcing KUA as the bronze award winner. So we have an award-winning billing and payment program at the national level. We were the only Florida municipal to receive an award from this particular program, and one of the few municipals in the country actually to be ranked at this level, which is great bragging rights, but it also is a good reflection on this board and on the staff who have been working so hard to keep us modern, keep us efficient, doing things for the right reasons and not just slapping something together. And when you look along the bottom of that screen there, you can see who our neighbors were in these awards. These are massive utilities, sometimes 10, sometimes 100 times our size, with way more resources. And little KUA won the third place award at this competition. So very, very satisfying to see an award-winning program that we spent so much time on, and also know that that level of expertise is benefiting our customers already. It's not something that's just down the road in the future. And speaking of the future, we do keep a continuous eye on the next generation and what they're going to expect. Who knows how these kids today, who in 10 years will be our customers, what are they going to expect from their utility? How are they going to want to interact with their utility, not just in bill payment, but in services and the different things, how electricity is such a quality of life issue now. I say this often, but electricity is one of the few things that is used to measure just how bad a disaster is. That's how important it is, because when it's taken away, we know it makes an immediate impact on people's quality of life. So with that, I just want to take any questions, but just give you the good news about the award. And thank you for always supporting our technological recommendations. It's, again, satisfying to see the award, but that's a reflection on our board believing in our plans, our programs, and letting us continue forward.
Any questions? Comment?
Excellent.
Yep. Thanks for all your good work.
I
keeping
just
us-
want to say it's great. I'm just so proud of a KUA and what we've been doing. Little
Yep.
old small KUA.
Absolutely. Okay, so we move on to hear the attorney.
Well, Madam Chair, what a 10 years it's been. And unfortunately, I only have one matter for you, and it's a little bit of bad news from the legal world. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals out of California, the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, has ruled in favor of the FCC's order mandating that municipalities and municipal electric utilities impose rates that are determined by the FCC. And that we have aggressive shot clocks to get attachments, small cell attachments onto our poles at a time and place that's rather aggressive. There is a silver lining, and that's that the FCC admitted during briefing that its order only applies to facilities and easements, rights of way that are also owned by that same entity. So for example, if we have poles in city of Kissimmee or county right of way, that order does not apply to us. It applies to the easements we own ourselves. So that's a good limitation. And right now I'm not aware of any concerns from any small cell attachers out there. We already have one agreement that seems to be going fine. I'll keep you all apprised of how things go. But it was a disappointment for public power in general and for cities and counties and local governments in general. And other than fare thee well, Godspeed, that's it for me, unless there's questions.
Hey, Grant,
Yes, sir.
is that the final word from the courts, or is there still a possible appeal process?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, Director Ortega. APPA is, I think they're deciding if they have a grounds to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and if it's going to be worth their while to do it, but they haven't made that determination yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so since I can't see all the board, I'll just call on y'all. Ray?
Well, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Got to hear from the chair.
Hear the general manager.
Oh, okay.
You've got your reminders there on the screen. October 7th is our next board meeting. And at that board meeting, we'll be installing new board member Raymond Sanchez to a 5-year term on the KUA board. Also, the board will be taking action on the slate of officers for FY21 at that next meeting. Just want y'all aware of that. And then just finally, it saddens me that this is the last meeting for our chair, Kathleen Thacker. She completes her second full term on the KUA board. Kathleen, I know that I speak for the entire organization when I say that you have been an exemplary board member and will be greatly missed. Your contributions to KUA have been profound, and I know they'll be a lasting impact on the organization and the community. So well done, Chair Thacker. And some of our employees wanted to say farewell to you also and put together a short video that we're going to play right now.
Kathleen, thank you for your 10 years of service to our community in KUA. KUA is a much better organization because of your service. Obviously, this isn't the way we want to say farewell, but there's a lot of people around here that want to say thank you.
Bye, Kathleen. I'm going to miss you. Thank you so much for everything you did for KUA.
Thank you for your service, Director Thacker.
Bye, Director. Thank you.
Thank you.
For all you've done
For KUA.
from the HR department.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Thacker, for the services. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Thacker.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your tenure.
We
appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Bye, Director Thacker. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Thacker.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Ms. Thacker.
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for everything. Best wishes.
Director Thacker, on behalf of Finance and Administration here at KUA, we thank you for all your years of service and wish you well. Thank you.
Have a great retirement. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for all you've done. God bless.
From Cane Island, thank you, Kathleen.
And
Wow.
and now we've got a proclamation. If you just bear with me for just a second, so I can read into the record. It's rather lengthy, so just bear with me. Whereas Kathleen Thacker has served on the Kissimmee Utility Authority Board of Directors, completing an interim term from July 17th, 2010 through September 30th, 2010, and then continuing to complete 2 full terms on September 30th, 2020. And whereas Kathleen Thacker served as Assistant Secretary from October 5th, 2011 through September 30th, 2015, Secretary from October 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2017, Vice Chairman from October 4th, 2017 through September 9th, 2019, and Chairman from October 2nd, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. And whereas Kathleen's wisdom and concern for the customers of the Kissimmee Utility Authority has played an integral role in the utility's growth and success, and whereas Kathleen Thacker has served Kissimmee Utility Authority tirelessly and voluntarily without compensation, and whereas while serving as an officer of the Kissimmee Utility Authority, Kathleen Thacker graduated from the Leadership Osceola County program, and whereas Kathleen Thacker served the municipal power industry's needs through active participation in legislative rallies for both the American Public Power Association and the Florida Municipal Electric Association, and whereas Kathleen Thacker has been a member of the Florida Municipal Power Agency's Policymakers Council since 2010 and served as vice chair for 4 terms, and this last year as chairperson, and served on the American Public Power Association's Legislative and Resolutions Committee since 2012. And whereas Kathleen Thacker was honored with the American Public Power Association Spence Vanderland Public Official Award. This award recognizes elected and appointed officials whose contribution to APPA and their communities have enhanced the prestige of public power nationally. And whereas efforts to continue to move the utility into the future and promote solar alternatives for Kissimmee Utility Authority customers led to the implementation of a net metering program and energy savings plans for the Kissimmee Utility Authority facility, and the Florida Municipal Solar Project is one of the largest municipal-backed solar projects in the nation. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the KUA Board of Directors commits to awarding a 4-year, $2,500 per year scholarship to be used by students in pursuit of their academic degree at a college or university accredited by the U.S. Department of Education for the next 10 years. The scholarship will be known as the Kathleen Thacker Scholarship and awarded annually to a graduating high school senior in good academic standing who resides within the KUA service territory and has demonstrated service to this community, and to be determined by the Foundation for Osceola Education. Further, be it proclaimed that the Kissimmee Utility Board of Directors and staff wish to express their true and sincere gratitude, respect, and appreciation for the years of service Kathleen Thacker has given to the Kissimmee Utility Authority. Kathleen, thank you. Endorsed by the Board of Directors.
Yay!
Oh, boy, that's quite an honor for the scholarship. That's wonderful.
You deserve every bit of it, Kathleen.
Well, it's been an interesting job, shall we call it. it's been a wonderful learning experience, and I have learned so much. It's really been fun, but it makes me tired when I hear all of that in one proclamation.
And we've
I need this.
Madam Chair, and the board has some other small tokens of appreciation that you can see there that we'll be getting to you upon your return to the area. But one of them is a framed collage of all the board pictures that represent your 10 years of service to KUA. And then I believe there's a metered electric lamp there as well.
Well, thank you all for everything.
Thank you.
Sure couldn't do this job without the support of the rest of the board and all of KUA.
Well said.
We're gonna miss you, Kathleen.
Well, I'll miss y'all too, that's for sure.
Congratulations, Kathleen, and thank you for all the years of services that you provided.
Well, thank you. Okay, any other directors have anything for the good of the order?
I have something to say.
Okay.
It's 100 degrees outside on my porch. So my electric bill is going to go up.
Catherine, I just want to join the staff in saying thank you. Thank you for your years of service. And happy birthday to Ethel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Then I'll wish Ethel a happy birthday from all of us. And I assume we'll adjourn the meeting at this point.
Happy birthday
There's
cake.
Ethel's birthday cake.
See you later.
Oh,
Enjoy.
A virtual birthday cake.
blow out the candles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, bye y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Stay in touch.
Oh my gosh. I like that one.
That is a prettier.